I know there was a lot of uncertainty last night over whether the shooter in Nashville was a biological female who identified, quote unquote, identified as male, or whether the shooter was a biological male who was dressed up as a woman, because the police, when they were doing briefings throughout the day yesterday about this shooting, repeatedly referred to the shooter as a woman. At the same time, the police said, listen, this shooter identifies as transgender. I think we have a clip of that, if we could play that clip.
She identify as transgender?
She does identify as transgender, yes.
Okay, so the police said that this woman shooter identified as transgender. USA Today later corrected the police for misgendering and said that the police had used the wrong, this is their quote, police on Monday afternoon said that the shooter was a transgender man. Officials had initially misgendered the gender of the shooter. So what USA Today is talking about with that tweet is the video that I just showed you, where this police officer correctly referred to the woman as a female and said that this female identified as transgender. If you look at the LinkedIn profile of the shooter's name, by the way, is Audrey Hale. Audrey Hale's LinkedIn profile displayed he, him pronouns. So he, him is the preferred pronouns of Audrey Hale. Audrey Hale is a biological woman who identifies as a man. Andy No, over at the Post Millennial, said that Audrey Hale also identified as Aiden Hale when Audrey was acting in her transgender identity here. Based on the pictures, it's not too much of a leap to assume that Audrey Hale was on testosterone. Likely, based on these photos of her. Testosterone can have violent effects when given to women in almost any dosage, but certainly at a dosage that would be given to her as part of a gender transition. Police also said, we'll get back to that in a minute, but police said that there was a manifesto that was left by Audrey Hale because this situation, this Christian school, was a Christian school run in the second floor of a Presbyterian church. Audrey Hale was 28 years old at the time of this mass murder, but had been a student at this school. It was a school from preschoolers up through 6th grade. So the police said this was a targeted attack. This transgender person, this female, Audrey Hale, intentionally targeted this Christian school because they were a Christian school and because of prior association. And police say that there's a manifesto that details even further ideology or motivation behind the attack. Take a listen.
No, we have a manifesto. We have some writings that we're going over that pertain to this day, the actual incident. We have a map drawn out of how this was all going to take place. There's right now a theory that we may be able to talk about later, but it's not confirmed. And so we'll put that out as soon as we can.
A theory that we might be able to talk about later that hasn't yet been confirmed. I wonder what that is. I wonder if this shooter was motivated by anti-Christian animus. I wonder if this shooter was motivated by anti-Republican, anti-conservative bias. At the same time that this attack took place, this is what looks like not just an anti-Christian hate crime, but what looks like a terror attack against Christians for being Christian and for holding Christian beliefs about sex and gender. We'll find out in detail the intricacies of the ideology of this shooter when the manifesto is released. And we must see this manifesto if we want to be able to prevent these atrocities from being perpetuated on our society in the future. What was happening at the same time, trans activists across the country are gearing up for what they're calling a Trans Day of Vengeance. We have one of their flyers that they're passing around to try to recruit people to come to Washington, D.C. and protest outside the Supreme Court. You can see this on the screen. It says, this is what the poster says: "We need more than visibility. Trans Day of Vengeance. Stop trans genocide. Trans Day of Vengeance." It says again, April 1st at 11 a.m., assemble at the Supreme Court, wear a mask, and bring a buddy. The background of this poster is all black, and the writing is written in the colors of the trans flag: light blue, light pink, and white. Is that a coincidence? Is it a coincidence that while trans activists are telling trans people that they are soon to be the targets of a genocide and that they deserve a day of vengeance, is it a coincidence that this female shooter who identified as transgender waged what appears to be an anti-Christian mass murder of children? You tell me.